And as we're talking about struggles and fighting for what you really want, but not in the literal fighting sense, um, we're talking this morning about parenting under 25 and also bullying, which is a very serious issue. And more and more, we've been seeing all different kinds of stories coming out on social media. And more now, we're seeing more of the bullying. It just seems like, it's just blossoming, for want of a better word, unfortunately, which is an unfortunate thing. And to talk about a project that's actually going to be started in November and, their stance on bullying, I'd like to welcome this morning Sandrine Rattan to Good Morning Trinidad and Tobago. She's actually the president of the International Women's Resource Network, the IWRN. So good morning.
Good morning,
Welcome.
Rianne. Good morning to our viewers.
It's a pleasure to have you. Tell us about it's the latest initiative that's themed parenting under 25. And you also want to talk a lot extensively about bullying as well, because it is a very serious issue. Now, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but we're seeing it more in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
It's worldwide, but
Yes.
it's a very serious issue.
So let me start with the parenting under 25. Ria, the thing, our organization, let me just put our conversation in context. Our organization was established in May 2014, primarily to treat with issues that affect women and children. Women in particular, when we talk about domestic violence, intimate partner violence, women who are affected by self-esteem and other life-related issues, and children in terms of abuse and proper care. Now, I would say over the past 6 to 8 months, we have extended our support to families because we recognize that we can't deal with women in isolation, children in isolation. You have to deal with a family because whatever happens to those two subjects would affect the family. So in terms of the Parenting Under 25 project, what we have been recognizing is that a lot of single mothers under 25 are going through different struggles financially, also issues relating to sex and reproductive health. A lot of education is needed there because when we talk to them about certain issues relating to sex and reproductive health, we recognize that they are all surprised by what we are sharing. So we are launching this project in late November, and the national community will see more of that. And we're also going into some of Caribbean countries as well.
Okay.
Yes, to really, first we'll be gathering data to assess what the issues are, what the issues, we know what the issues are out there, but we want to hear it from them in a proper researched way. And then we have 2 organizations on standby who are willing to support with regards to the initiative.
Now, this is targeting any woman under 25.
Yes, single mothers.
Single mothers.
Single mothers.
So
single
if you're
mothers.
married, it's a different thing because you should have that support with respect to the husband or the other half, in a sense.
Yeah, we want to deal with the single
Yeah.
mothers first, and depending we want to have profile it in that way. Yes, because there are a lot of risk associated with single mothers under 25 that we are recognizing.
Have you actually done any research to find out how many single mothers we have in Trinidad and Tobago under 25?
Well,
to get an idea?
The project will capture that.
Okay.
The project will capture that in a real way.
How is the project going to unfold? Because I'm curious to find, find out how this is actually going to unfold, to take shape.
Well, as I said, the first element of it is collecting the data.
Right.
Having done that, we have a team that will be assessing the data, and then we would work in a parallel way to determine, the approach.
How are you going to collect the data, though? It's across Trinidad and Tobago, or?
Across Trinidad and Tobago, we are looking at St. Vincent, the Grenadines, St. Lucia, and Grenada.
Okay. All right. And then when you get all this data, what are you going to do with it afterwards? What are you going to look at?
Right. So the data would inform the needs,
right,
and the challenges that those mothers are going through. Yes.
And it's quite a bit. when you're
Yes.
under 25 with children.
Yes.
And I say with children, not necessarily with child, with children.
Yeah. And what we recognize, Ria, we can't, as an organization that was established to support women, we can't allow things to continue as they are, because if we do, then you would have a series of issues emanating from the sex and reproductive health element of the project. And then if that continues unabated, then you would have more poverty.
Yes.
And poverty is one of the things that we deal with as well.
Yes, and it's trying to get out of that situation as well. Which
Yeah,
is
and it's
another
really
difficult.
to manage, is really to assist the particular, those mothers in managing their particular circumstances in a way that they can coexist more comfortably.
Yeah. So that would deal with actually the Parenting Under 25 project.
Parenting under 25, and what I promised to do, Ria, is to return here
Yeah, of
to
course.
chat with you before we
After,
wrote. Yes,
right.
yeah.
How long do you think this is going to take? How long, what time frame have you given to collect and do all this?
We estimate 3 to 6 months.
Okay. Ooh,
3 to 6
quite
months.
extensive, yeah.
Yeah, 3 to 6 months.
Bullying now.
Now, we have been reviewing a lot of the videos that pop up on social media, and we hear different noises, different positions. But our position is bullying comes from different places. Children who engage in bullying do not engage in bullying today for today. It happens over a period of time. I'm hearing, and even my directors and our volunteers, we are hearing blame being cast, blame being thrown at the government, blame being thrown at teachers, and different, it's just, but at the end of
nobody doing anything about it.
Nobody's doing anything about it, but more so, the parents need to take full responsibility. We have written about it, we have spoken about it, and this is why I said I want to talk about it again this morning, because the issue of bullying starts at home.
Yes.
Children who engage in bullying were either bullied, or they coexist in an environment where bullying exists, or they coexist in an environment where anger exists.
What about abuse?
Well, I'm coming to that. So those type of environments now, and there is also delinquency attached to that. Now, what we are finding is that a lot of parents, they would see even from toddler age, toddlers engaging in delinquent behavior, and they would brush it off. They would laugh.
Yeah, it's a joke. Oh, look at him, or look at her. Hit somebody and it's like, no, don't do that, naughty child. But
and we are think about that. Just the child growing, the child is growing bigger, and that is why we are at the place we're at.
Yeah.
I know there was a video recently with this little child. She could be about, I think it happened in Grenada. It was captured in Grenada. She can be about 7 years, and she was engaging in offensive language with the neighbor.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, and adults keep looking at it repeatedly and laughing. And I said, that is a serious thing. You can't laugh.
It was awful. I mean, if you saw that out there, if people saw that on social media, it was awful. This little child in a literal cuss out, I have to say, with a grown woman. But the thing too about that is the adult also continuing on with a conversation like that with a young child. And we see that happening as well. Don't we as adults as well have to take responsibility and say, listen, you're a child. I'm walking away from this. You cannot be speaking to me like that. And I'm walking away from this. If you cannot deal with the child, it's somebody else's child or whatever, and you can't deal with it that way, walk away and then to go back to it if possible. But this woman was engaging.
She was engaging, and that is the problem. Now, the other part we looked at the video on 2 occasions, and one thing that was notable here is that the child, while she was engaging the neighbor, she said, when my mother comes, XXX.
And so afraid my mother when she passing up the road and this and, yeah.
So that is the environment that child is coexisting in. And that is what I'm saying. As far as the IWRN is concerned, parents need to take full responsibility for their children's actions. We don't really care about the other thing. We talk about distractions, but at the end of the day, that's your child.
But how, I mean, I see so much adults behaving in that way. So children will pattern that behavior and behave similarly. So it has to start with the teaching the adults, in a sense, to how they need to conduct themselves, especially in front of children.
Exactly. And some adults, you know, at the end of the day, Ria, we talk about a lost generation in terms of young people, but at the end of the day, the adults are the ones who are lost.
That's the thing. And you see it.
And that's why the society is so fragmented, because adults have failed the children.
So how do we get that back? I mean, I've had this conversation so many times on so many different levels with so many different people. And how do we get it back? How do we teach these adults, listen, that is not responsible. You're teaching this to our young people.
But I will tell you, at our organization, our counselors are, are continuously engaging parents at different levels in terms of what you're alluding to. And we are seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, because some of them, when they share their experiences, they would sub because things happened in their earlier life that were not corrected.
Yeah.
And as a result, they continue to act out. So I think there is light at the end of the tunnel, but at the end of the day, we can't do all of the work. We try our best.
That's it.
And
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think every little pocket has to basically try their best, which is what you're doing. And there are other little organizations or other organizations that are trying. Hopefully one day, something is going to change.
Yes.
Because these are our young people. Thank you, Sandrine. And I want you, when this is all done, and even in between, to get an update
Yes,
on how
of
things
course,
are going.
we
Not to
will.
wait for the 3 to 6 months or anything, but, to get updates in between to find out how the collation of data and everything is taking place.
what I could
So,
say, Ria, 6 is maximum. We suspect it will complete in 3 months.
I hope so. And I wish you all the best of luck with it.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Sandrine Rattan, she is actually the president of the IWRN, which is the International Women's Resource Network, telling us all about parenting under 25 and, of course, a discussion there on bullying.